Okay, so guys, today, bringing into you the DevoHes low row machine. So the big thing with this machine is most people don't fucking like this. And for good reason. It's not really the best design when you're trying to avoid any kind of injuries. With any kind of push or any kind of pull movement, you want to make it so that your wrists and your elbows always follow one another. For if they are not, you end up kind of like pulling in different directions where you're going to get an extra torque on rather the top of your elbow, lower elbow. So it's like you're going to have issues with different tendons, or you're going to have issues with your wrist. So I'm going to show you this initially, how most people kind of get in here and the problem that they're kind of running into. Being that it's a chest supported row, most people initially will scooch all the way forward, have their chest flat here, and they grab the handle down here. The problem with this is as you pull back, the handle wants to, as you come up, the handle wants to go up in this diagonal direction, but your elbow's pulling straight back. Issues with this is you're putting a lot of pressure here on the top of your wrist, and you're not really able to pull efficiently. All the muscles in your back are trying to pull in a straight line around your rib cage to the back. They're not trying to help pull up this way if your elbow's also still moving straight back. So one of the first things that I typically try to get people to do when we jump in on this machine is we change it from aiming for like a mid-back exercise to an upper back exercise instead. So being like you have your rear delts and upper trap fibers, what we can do is I scooch my hips back, and I lean my upper chest into the top of the pad. I typically also only do this with one hand, but some people will do it two, and that's okay. I'm gonna do it in one hand just for ease of showing you guys. Doing a single hand, I'll brace my hand here on the back of the seat to make sure that I am incredibly stable as I lean forward into this. And as I grab the handle, I'm going to externally rotate so that my elbow's pointed more straight outwards, so that as I pull up, my wrist follows the same direction that my elbow goes. In the same direction that this arm is trying to go upwards. This is from here to here. And that's a significantly more efficient way that my arm wants to move. You're gonna run into less injuries in your elbows, less injuries in the wrists. It's gonna feel a lot better overall. The only downside of that, again, is you're changing it from like a mid-back exercise to an upper back exercise. One of the difficulties with this machine too, as you pull on the handle, what ends up happening is the weights here, they initially are traveling diagonal into a vertical plane. When it goes into the vertical plane is when the weight feels the heaviest. The problem with that is that it's closest when you're also to lockout. So that is also when you're at your weakest point in the lift. With that, I recommend, once you notice that you're no longer getting the full range of motion, a full lockout, back up here, I recommend you to stop on the set there. The reason being is if you consistently keep doing the next 3 or 4 or 5 reps that are 3/4 and half reps, you're not gonna be training the muscle as effectively as you could be. And you're gonna keep that weak spot as a weak spot. Exercise number 2 that I can use with this low row machine that actually works well for your body is more of like a shrug, Kelso shrug, okay? So come and check this out. What I do is I grab the center handle here for a neutral grip. I'll do both at the same time. Lean my chest in, but then from here, I just really pull back on all the mid traps, my upper traps. Don't think about just trying to shrug up. Shrug up and back. Now, just like with any shrug or any kind of exercise, you don't bounce them. The thing is a lot of people will just do bouncing shrugs. They'll do the same thing on calf raises, and those are the guys you'll notice also have the smallest calves. That's not how you train a muscle. That's just lifting weights. Grab the weight, throw it back, strong contraction, hold the contraction. Let the muscle feel that weight on there. Make it so you don't have to lift a heavy ass weight. Make it so the weight that you have feels like it's really fucking heavy. You want it to feel like a heavy ass weight without it needing to be there. And that's gonna be the best way to really build up some solid ass traps on this machine. Okay, third and final exercise that I like to do with this low row machine is I actually try to find a way to turn it into a lat row. So I'll show you. First thing I do is I actually drop these all the way down. The easier way, of course, the easier way would be for me to do that without the weights on there, but I'm not gonna take the weights off to move them down. Make sure you're careful with doing this They're not spring-loaded. Goes down. From there, what I do is I also drop the bench down a couple of notches, and then I grab myself one of these little D handles. So for single arm, I don't ever do this for both arms at the same time. I only do this whenever single arm. I'll put my right knee up. Again, I'll hold onto the back of the seat to try to be as stabilized as possible. One thing you're gonna note too is like bodybuilders always talk about being stabilized. The reason being is typically we're trying to target one or two specific muscle groups at a time. And if you're not stable, what's gonna happen is a lot of that effort is going to actually get passed on to other muscle groups as well. Because if you're trying to sit there and you're twisting, you're gonna have oblique core engagement that is actually working the muscle as well and gonna make the lift easier. And you're not really gonna be hitting the muscle you want to hit. With a lat row, what's important is elbow and shoulder path. So take a note that top of your lat connects right back in here, and then comes all the way down, wraps around your rib cage, down into your spine, and into the base down here. With that, think that you're trying to take the muscle from the insertion point at the back of the arm down to the origin. You'll notice that my elbow path is almost perfectly straight back, and that my shoulder will actually raise slightly as I go forward, and as I go through the row, my shoulder will actually depress and come around and almost act like as if it's trying to wrap around my rib cage. So take a look. I put the handle up here on like so, pull it back, I'll stabilize myself. So I'm holding the seat, my knees on here, I'm stabilized. I line up my arm to my lat to make sure that I have the proper line of pull. And from here, my shoulders lifted, raised forward, and as I come back, I drop that elbow down, and I'm pulling the shoulder down as well. So the elbow pulls straight back as that shoulder pulls back and down. And as I keep stable, this is gonna allow all of the emphasis to go on that lat. My lat stretches here, so my lat is still engaged, and it pulls all the way back and around. An important thing to note is that, again, the wrist really does follow the elbow throughout that contraction. The elbow follows the wrist as I extend through. So, where most people would sit here, feel like this machine is too awkward, they don't like it, any of those things, and just skip it over completely and find other exercises or other machines to utilize. Those are 3 different exercises that you can do to still optimize your time over here at the Gym in the North. So give me your thoughts, like, subscribe, drop your comments down below. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.